Good morning Wythenshawe and welcome to PG Today, where we're going to have a special programme focusing on Parkway Green and how it plays a role at the heart of the community.
We're going to be taking you on a journey of Parkway Green, celebrating its successes and looking at its next key challenges.
Parkway Green was set up in 2006 when it transferred from Manchester City Council, was followed in 2008 by the transfer of the Direct Labour organisation, and its call centre came in 2009.
It also embarked on a staggering £90 million investment programme, improving the lives of Parkway Green customers right across Wythenshawe.
And now we're going to go straight out to Brooklands Gardens, where our roving correspondent Wayne Squire is on site.
Okay, here we are in Brooklands Gardens and I'm here with Caroline Hadfield, the Neighbourhood Housing Manager at Parkway Green, and we're going to now do the PG Challenge. So Caroline, come with me.
Let's go number 2.
Come on. So Caroline, who lives here?
Jean Frost.
Jean Frost. Jean Frost, Brooklands Gardens. Fantastic. Jean.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Wayne Squire from PG Today.
Right.
I'm here today with Caroline, who you know from Parkway Green.
Right.
I wanted to ask you one question if I could.
Yes.
What does living on Brooklands Gardens mean to you?
Well, I'm very happy and I'm very satisfied. I'm in lovely surroundings. I'm in a secure, beautiful home. It's easy to manage, easy to maintain, and it's been a good foundation, and I feel since I've moved here life has started to begin.
Well, that sounds fantastic. And what about the service you've had from Parkway Green?
Oh, the service from Parkway Green's been excellent. Each individual I was appointed to, I was able to go to, but the most marvellous thing was everyone worked as a team.
I'm here with Joe Cowat, a Neighbourhood Housing Manager for Parkway Green, and we're here at Parkway Green's first ever new build, which is Brooklands Gardens. So Joe, tell me a little bit about how this came about.
Well, Brooklands Gardens has been developed on what was the old Brooklands Trade and Labour site. A couple of years ago it was quite derelict, it was subject to youth nuisance and antisocial behaviour, a lot of vandalism, quite an eyesore really for the community. So with a bit of pressure from the local councillors, a few different departments, teams within Parkway Green got together and we developed a business plan to look at what we could do with the site and whether or not it would be financially viable to develop anything on here.
Okay, Gaynor, you're the investment team manager here. We've just heard about the investment team's input into this project. Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing here then.
Well, once we'd managed to secure the government funding, we started working with the allocations team on what would be the best type of property to build on this site, supply and demand basis in the area. And we also involved consultants to do the design for us to make sure we maximised the opportunity on this site. As you can see from the properties now, these are bungalows, 2-bed bungalows, which we're short of.
I can see the solar panels up there.
Yeah, we've incorporated some green aspects with the properties. Those solar panels actually feed the communal lighting, which means there's less of a service charge.
Okay, Caroline, you're a housing manager, but you're also responsible for allocations, is that right?
It is, yes.
Okay, so tell me something about how allocations works with a new build project such as this.
Well, the allocations role really starts basically at the beginning of the project. So when the builders are on site, we would start to look at the people on the waiting list that are suitable for these kind of properties. It was imperative that we had all these tenants settled in their new homes ready for the Christmas period.
So we've learned today about Brooklands Gardens and how it's been a real team effort. Does everybody agree that Parkway Green as an organisation has really worked together to deliver this project, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. From the initial stages of talking about what we could do with the site to try and resolve the ASB, to actually deciding what kind of properties we would build on site to reflect customer need, allocating the properties well in advance of the completion, bringing on side local apprentices, you know, through the HR schemes that are run, even down to IT, loading the properties on the system so that we can actually collect the rent. Many things involved in the build, which really did need the input of every team in the organisation.
Fantastic, thanks very much. There you go, Brooklands Gardens, a real team effort.
Joining us now in the studio is John Burrell, the Mechanical and Electrical Engineering Manager. John, if I can come straight across to you. Can you tell us what life was like in Parkway Green when you transferred in 2008?
2008, I think it was about expectations of myself, my new team, a lot of worries of my engineers coming from a organisation that was all about the quantity and not about the quality.
Must have been quite an interesting time back then. What was performance like, John?
Performance was, I would really say it was average.
So John, what did you recognise needed to be changed?
Back then, I had to look at the quality of our engineers. Are they going to be good enough? After taking our engineers on a journey of learning, training, development, we are now ranked #1 as an organisation.
What an achievement.
Yeah, we have engineers in the top 5, which if you think out of approximately 1,000 other engineers, it's a huge achievement.
Thanks, John.
And now we're going to go back on site with our roving correspondent Julie Booker, who's going to be interviewing about PG Turnaround.
Okay, we're here now with Diane Peters, who's Operations Manager at PG React. Diane, I know that you're in charge of the social enterprise schemes that the Trust runs. Could you give us some information about what's going on in the building behind us?
Yeah, it's a PG Turnaround scheme. It was founded in 2009 and we've had about 23 people go through it so far. It was devised for ex-offenders. Because these people are very, very hard in the jobs market, they really struggle to get something. That has been identified that would be the case, so we set this up to enable these individuals to have the skills. So they work with us for 6 months. Go through a program. It's just basically learning their behaviours, the disciplines of communication, working with the team and everything, and to build their confidence up, because a lot of these lads have come in with no confidence whatsoever.
So Diane, would it be possible now for you to chat with some of the guys on your turnaround scheme?
Yeah, of course, I'm sure they'll tell you all about it. They absolutely love it.
Okay, now we're here with James, David and Stephen, and I'm just going to ask them a couple of questions. So you're obviously all working on the PG turnaround scheme. Can you just give me your thoughts on how you feel about it?
I think it's going well. I've learned loads of skills, like learn how to use a garden equipment. We've also gone out with joiners and the fences and lots of things. Loads of skills for when I leave there and try and find another job.
And Julie Booker now interviewing in PG Direct.
Hi, I'm here today with our Responsive Services Manager, Mike Richman, and our Customer Access Manager, Leslie Cayley. Hello. Mike, would you like to tell us a little bit about your role?
Yeah, the key part of my role is to ensure the repair service is delivered, the adaptation service, and the empty properties, the void properties, turned around on time, which is supported by the surveying team, all within budgets.
So Leslie, you obviously work very closely with Mike's team. Could you just expand on that a little bit for me?
Okay, yeah, no, very similar to what Mike said. I consider the contact team here to be the ambassadors of the company. We're the first point of call for most of our customers from different surveys and research that we've done, and the majority of our customers like to make contact with us through the phone, so it's very important that the hub of the industry here is looking after everything and servicing everything. Very similar to what Mike said is we work very closely together, certainly from the defects point of view, from analysis. We've carried out a lot of training over the last 2 years where we've had Mike's team in, giving us lots of instructions about questions to ask. This has helped with efficiencies, made sure that we get jobs booked correctly the first time. It's offered value for money then, because we've not been going back to jobs on several occasions. And I think it's also fair to say, and more importantly to say, that it's helped with customer service, because it means that we're going to the customer once, getting the job done at the same time.
And now back out to Wayne, who's at the Bideford Centre.
So now we're on the Bideford estate. It looks a little bit different from what we've seen so far. Just tell us a little bit about it.
Well, these properties were actually built a little bit later than the rest of the area. They were built sometime in the 1960s. And as you can see, we've got the two multi-storey blocks, which are 2 and 4, that we have across our neighbourhoods. The Bideford estate is probably one of our more challenging areas to manage.
So what have you done as an organisation to sort of counter that?
Well, one of the things that we did was we worked with the allocations team to develop what we call a local lettings policy. And because we're part of the Manchester Shared Housing Register, we also worked with the City Council to develop a policy that had certain criteria that people needed to meet before they could bid for properties or be allocated properties in the area, to try and get a bit more of a mix, change the demographics and get some working households into the area.
And how have the different teams within the organisation sort of helped you to deliver that?
The allocations team had a big part to play in the local lettings policy, the community safety team in taking the action against the nuisance neighbours. But one of the things that we've also done is developed the Bideford Centre, which is a community centre on the estate, with the help of the investment team who carried out some improvement works.
Okay, well that sounds fantastic. Let's go and have a look at that then.
Okay.
This is Eric Smith. He's our chairman of the steering committee who manage the centre, run the cafe, run any projects on the centre, a lot of fundraising activities. But I don't want to steal too much of Eric's thunder. So Eric, do you mind telling us a little bit about your role on the centre and how big an influence the tenants have on the centre and on the wider area generally?
Everything we do in the centre is for the tenants, and anybody from the area can come. It doesn't matter where you come from and with a shop, but you come in, you have a butty, you have a brew, you talk to each other.
And are you seeing a change?
Oh yeah.
It's making a difference?
Of course it makes a difference, because you've got somewhere for people to come. We do money advice, we run surgeries on helping people, vulnerable people, we have an art class. We do pretty well. We do pretty well.
And how do you think you work as a tenant? How do you think you work with members of Parkway Green and also people from the council?
Well, we work great because we all work together. We run sort of a partnership on the steering group between Manchester City Council and Parkway Green, and we have a good rapport with each other, and we do tend to get a lot of things done, and we work really well together.
Excellent. Dean, Eric, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that, Wayne, and we'll just pop back now to Dean to talk about resident involvement.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I mean, I think what you've just seen there is how much responsibility and how much ownership we actually give to our tenants, allowing them to manage and financially run a community centre that we're ultimately responsible for in terms of insurance and everything else. Shows how much we trust them, shows how much we invest, and shows how much that we work together with our tenants.
Yes, thanks for that, Dean. We'll now cut across to Wayne, who's at St Hilda, who will talk to us about how the tenant inspectors are being used.
Okay, thanks guys. I'm here at St Hilda's community room with Dean Slavin, the resident involvement manager at Parkway Green, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about what's happening behind us, which is a meeting of the resident inspectors. So, Dean, just tell me a little bit about resident inspectors and what they do.
Okay, well the resident inspectors are part of over 50 residents and tenants who are involved with us on a day-to-day basis. There's a whole host of ways that people can get involved, and it's all different levels of the business that people can access through their involvement. But the main function of the tenant inspectors is to check the customer experience.
We like to use the rod seal analogy. They check whether Parkway Green are doing exactly what they say on the tin. So they might do mystery shops, come into reception areas unannounced, and just check whether everything's ticking over, you know.
Okay.
At the beginning of the show, we talked about some of the key challenges facing Parkway Green. On the sofa, we have Julie Booker, Financial Advisor, and Carolyn Hadfield, Housing Services Manager.
Hi.
Julie, can you elaborate on what some of these key issues are and how Parkway Green will address these going forward?
I think from a financial point of view, the main issues going forward is maximising income, not just for the Trust but for any organisation. Obviously there are certain challenges that the Trust will be facing now, especially with welfare reform, which I know Carolyn has a lot to tell you about. Basically the thing now is to maximise income, so the rents team becomes more and more important to the Trust because it's getting as much income in as we can, and from there it's deciding how that income is best spent, so trying to maximise value for money, trying to get the most out of each pound so that every pound that's saved is invested back into the community properly.
Julie, that sounds really interesting. Carolyn, is that something you agree with?
Yeah, it's like a big key challenge for Parkway Green, especially in light of the Welfare Reform Act, and going forward that our only income stream is our rents. It's critical that we pull together as a business to make sure that, you know, what we are spending, we are getting value for money for. We are looking for efficiencies. Along with the Welfare Reform Act comes in our customers, some of our really vulnerable customers will be affected by it. So we need to look at what we're going to do, what support we're going to provide for those customers. Not only, obviously, it's very important that they continue to pay the rent, but also these are the most vulnerable people. These are the people that are on housing benefit now. We need to get out and reach to those customers, offer our support. We've already started to do some of that work. It doesn't come into effect till April 2013. So we've been using our profiling information that we've got to try and target these people, offer them as much support and advice in preparation for the Welfare Reform Act and the changes that are being brought about it.
And tomorrow's show we're going to be delving into Nigel's briefs.
And it's goodbye from her.
And it's goodbye from him.